Hello and welcome to another edition of the Tigers Down Under. I'm your host Alex, and with me this week I've got Dill. How are you, Dill?
Yeah, good. Feeling a bit burnt.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I know, yeah. It feels it's been a while since I've been on this, so good to be back.
I was just going to say, I was trying to think the last time you were on, so I can't remember exactly when it was, but obviously City have been flying, up there challenging for potential automatic spots, everything else. What have you made of the season so far?
It's been awesome. I think it's the one time that I've been trying to watch the game, but I'm just with everything with life at the moment. And of course we're doing well. I was a bit more attentive last season, and
I was going to say, you've got it around the wrong way. You were too attentive last season and missing games this season.
Yeah, I know, but it looks like we're flying really well, and it's been great. I feel like the vibe's been good. Obviously, in the group chat, that's sort of where I sort of gauge how things are going, and to see that we're up where we are in the table. I think we're 7th now with some of the results, but potentially could have been pushing between the top 4. That's awesome.
Yeah. We'll talk Watford in a little bit. We'll talk Stoke first, but just in the context of the table, like you say, Coventry starting to have a bit of a wobble, lost again to Birmingham in the early game the other night, really starting to open up that top 2. Now we've got the game in hand against Watford that you always kind of do it where you look at the game in hand as automatic 3 points and you think, where would that put us in the table now if we get those 3 points? But exciting times heading into January. So we've got the potential to do a bit of business. I've already made one signing, which we can touch on later as well. Coming into this one, we sort of expected we'd have 2 games to talk about. We've only got the Stoke game to talk about. And as tends to be the case with Stoke at home, it's a pretty dour nothing game. So we'll try our best to talk a little bit about the football side of things, but not a whole lot on the pitch to talk about in that sense, and then we can talk about a few other things. But we did lose 1-0 to Stoke off the back of a really good result against Middlesbrough, so sort of stopped the momentum a little bit, but it seemed as if the squad was perhaps a little bit overly fatigued with the run of games, a couple of injuries in the squad as well. What's your sense in terms of, I suppose, the depth of the squad? It feels like, with the injury starting to mount, that it's a bit of a bridge too far for some of these games, for some of these players to sort of back up every couple of days.
Yeah, well, I think we talked about at the start of the season that we were sort of worried about all these new players coming in, being able to gel, and I think we were worried who's actually going to get time to play, if there's other positions already being filled and whatnot. But I think so far we've been doing pretty well with the replacements for say when Miller was out for a while there, and McBurney last year. I don't know, you get to a point where there's might be one too many, and then you start to see a few things crumble. But I don't know, after watching the highlights to the Stoke game, I wasn't able to watch it live. It's sort of, we still looked like we had a bit of a spark, but it was the result doesn't reflect that as much.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Yeah, especially I rewatched the highlights as well this morning just to refresh myself. It's been a few days since the game. Yeah. It almost felt as if the best 2 chances of the game were actually for us. It was, Hughes hitting the crossbar after Slater almost scored straight from the corner, and then Palmer late on hits the crossbar as well. And you think those chances go in on another day, and all of a sudden it's a different result. And Stoke, of course, get their goal sort of a bit of a scrappy bundle in the box, players sort of losing their shape. Kind of a symptom of the fact we had Famos slotting at left back. Perhaps it looked to me watching that back that he kind of came central to sort of do a bit of defending, and then his instinct is just to stay central, and he's left his man out on the left because he's just, I guess, not in his head instinctively thought to go back out to the left, and Stoke get the goal from that. But it just seems like every season we have these sorts of games with Stoke. It's just one of those ones.
History repeats itself, right? So. But they were coming off a few losses, was it? Yeah, so they probably had a bit of fire under them to sort of claw something back, and I guess with the whole Christmas period / New Year's, maybe the boys didn't go well. Maybe they went a bit too hard. Maybe they didn't go hard enough. But was this was the first game back in the new year?
First new game.
Second,
Yeah.
it was the first one back. So yeah, I don't know, disappointing, but we've got plenty to look forward to, I think.
Absolutely. I guess as a final shout, I thought the midfield looked pretty reasonable. I thought JB looked decent centrally, had a few good touches, good composure on the ball. Thought Slater was probably our best. And actually, I'll throw this into our votes now. I'll just do so. I'd Slater as my man of the match. I thought he was really impressive through the midfield. And yeah, it sort of crept up on me that he's taking a lot of set pieces for us now, which is pretty impressive. Like his corners, his delivery looked really good. Really dangerous from that. I thought Egan in defence actually had a really great game. I thought he was probably one of the brightest sparks in terms of starting those counters or those players up the field. Had a couple of really great long balls through for it wasn't Miller. It was when Palmer had come on. He was playing them up for Palmer in particular, and Ndala, I think, when Ndala came on. And then JB was my one vote. But just on that, I actually, as a shout out, Ndala, I thought actually looked really impressive when he came on. I think it's almost a role that suits him is playing off the bench, because I don't know if his fitness levels mean that he can start games, but off the bench, I thought he was a pretty bright spark for us.
Yeah. I think that probably that might work into Serge's maybe game plan running ahead for the next few games, just with like injuries and whatnot. But and just on Slater, when you're talking about the set pieces, I think he's sort of grown into himself a lot with, like, I guess that confidence level. And he's probably 26 now. He's been with us for a few years, so he was a bit younger. But yeah, so he's about 26 now. So he'd be, I guess, on his way of being like maybe, I don't know, I don't want to say peak of his career, but like, you know, I guess when it comes into, he's probably one of the oldest players in the squad. Been with the squad the longest. He's definitely got that confidence, and I love seeing him shine. I think, when he's happy, everyone else is happy, and we've talked about that before as well. So yeah, big shout out to Slater.
Fair enough. Did you put some votes together based on the highlights, or
nah?
Too easy.
Could tell.
Thought so. Well, look, we can also talk Watford. So we were talking just before we went to air. It's a little bit of a different experience. Obviously, not comparable to people sort of having to travel to the ground to see it get called off. But woke up at 1:30 in the morning over here, thinking, oh yep, all sweet, game's going ahead. Haven't seen anything to announce otherwise. And within about 5 minutes, the announcement came through that the game had been called off. Putting everything else aside, you'd like to think with these sorts of decisions that they surely need to have a threshold or a sort of almost like a time limit where they say, you need to make a definitive call, call it an hour, 90 minutes before the game. And then you say, if the ground is not safe, workable, playable at that point, then the game is off. Just for the sake of traveling supporters. Like, I get it, because you kind of think we could work right up to kickoff and maybe we get it going and playable, but it just seems really harsh on the Watford supporters in particular, travelling up from around London to get there, and you would have sort of 15 minutes notice to be told, no, sorry, the game's off, head back down. Is pretty tough.
I think I was looking, but like this was just on Google Maps, but I think it was like 3 and a bit hours or something driving. So maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. But yeah, it's a long way, and you got to feel for them as well. But could turn out to be a masterstroke. I guess we'll get to whether or not it was City's fault or the ref's fault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's it, right? Like, City put out the statement saying all parties agreed to the postponement, and you kind of go, okay, but you can agree because you have no say in it, really. Like, if you say to Watford, if the ref says to Watford, the game's off because it's unsafe, and Watford goes, oh, okay, is that them agreeing, or is that just them accepting the ref's decision or whoever's making the decision? Versus Watford actually saying, yes, we don't think it's safe. Like, it's a bit of a nuance there that Watford have obviously put out their statement saying, oh, we didn't agree to it and all that sort of thing. So it feels a little bit like everyone's sort of just trying to play into, getting people upset and frustrated and, engagement and all that sort of thing. But
it's good footy. I think it's actually it sucks for those who have travelled and everyone involved, but I guess it just creates a bit more of animosity, I guess, going into the next time whenever the rescheduled game is, it's going to be a good one, I think. And we're sort of looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting now for sure. But look, in all seriousness, like I was listening to the 1904 Club just before this, where Baz made the really good point. At the end of the day, City aren't going to deliberately sabotage the game in that particularly in that manner, when you consider the fact that they've spent all of this money on the stewards, the staff, the catering, the security, everything else. They've got the game up and running, essentially. The players are out, they've warmed up, they're ready to go. City aren't then going to turn around. Ajun's flown in, he's flown all the way over, he's, had his meal and drink, and he's ready to go for the game as well. I don't think we're going to have deliberately said, oh, well, we've got a couple of injuries, let's get the game postponed, because who knows? We could get this game postponed for, the first week of February, and we suddenly go, well, now suddenly McBurney's out injured, Miller's out injured, someone else is out injured, Panda's injured. We've got 3 games in a week. Like, this is actually a worse situation. Like, we're not going to, like, the players that are out injured other than Giles have basically been out injured all season. Like, it's not moving the needle whether we play it or not. So I think the conspiracy theorists will do what they do, but I think in reality, I think definitely there's someone stuffed up somewhere. Like, I don't know how you get the side of the pitch frozen like that, but I don't necessarily think there's any sort of, what would you call it? Like suspicious or malicious intent with it.
No, yeah. And as you're saying with injuries, like I think I saw, was it Watford, one of their centre backs just got recalled back to Man City. That's a huge blow for them. So they'd be even more furious. Yep.
I saw someone joke that we should sell Hughes, loan in this guy, and then he can play against Watford and score the winning goal for us, and just sort of make it even worse.
Perfect.
So,
it's a good rivalry coming.
Yeah, no, for sure. And actually, it's probably a good segue. We can talk transfer news. So earlier in the day before the game got postponed, we did actually announce the signing of James DeBayo, young centre-back, previously at Leeds. I think he was in their matchday squad a number of times last season. So even though he's 20 years old, hasn't got much experience, clearly was sort of like knocking on the door, I guess, in a similar way to you look at like a Cathal McCarthy who'd been in the squad a lot for us as a youngster. Which is, it's another one of those sorts of signings potentially for the future. Potentially it's one that in sort of 12 months' time, he's sort of knocking on the door for the senior squad as well. Sounds as if he may well be involved for the FA Cup game this weekend against Blackburn, which would be interesting to see. But not a terrible piece of business, I suppose.
Yeah, no, that sounds awesome. And we don't have any more, I guess, restrictions around transfers anymore, do we? This was like the first summer since we. So
I think it's this window we can't pay fees for the loans and the sun. So I think for example, with Soseni Dieng and Kieran Dowell also looking at coming in, Dowell on loan, Dieng I think would be a free transfer. So I think that's sort of how we'll try and manage things. When it comes to freeing up squad spaces and stuff, there's just all these different things that we're working with. One is the fact that you can only have your 25 senior players in the squad. So obviously that just means that, I don't know, a Brendan Williams or a Cody Drame or whoever needs to leave just to literally free up spaces in the squad. Then you've got the fact that we can't pay fees, which is just the sort of the, I guess, hangover punishment from the EFL. Then you've also got PSR just to work around anyway. All sorts of, it must be a tough job as a sort of a transfer manager, I suppose, because you've got all these different sort of factors to work in.
Yeah, it doesn't sound fun. And I think I saw Serge's comment around Drame the other day, something along the lines of, if he wants to leave, he can leave, but someone's got to be willing to pay for him. Along the lines of that. It's like, oh.
Well, I like it. I like it because he's sort of, you don't normally see managers sort of say that stuff publicly, and it's like it's good to sort of have someone be that blunt to say, look, we get it. You want to go. You want to play more football. We all want to play more football, but if no one's willing to pay the right price for you, then you're a City player. You have to put your head down and play for the club. Yeah,
you got to work hard. I kind of like that, and yeah, I guess culturally, I think that's like from my perspective, I think that's good. That's just shows that he's got a bit of leadership, and he's sort of probably people rally around him and his opinion and whatnot.
Yeah, for sure. And then I sort of joked about it before, but in terms of Hughes and Panda, are you concerned or have any thoughts that potentially I saw there was the news today that Middlesbrough are interested in Hughes for about 10 million. You would imagine surely that we're not selling him unless it's a Premier League club coming in for him.
And I don't know, is 10 million even, especially to Middlesbrough, because I think Hughes is obviously a really big player for us, and I don't know if we would get rid of him this summer, surely. And I hope we don't get rid of him this summer, because I think we need him. But yeah, I think he'd be worth more if we can see out the rest of this season and do really well and potentially get promoted and whatnot. Because I think he'll play a really big part in that. And yeah, what do you think about 10 million? Does that seem right?
It seems a bit light to me. I think especially the fact that, I don't know, I think Coventry bid 10 million in the summer and we rejected it. And you think, he's had a reasonable start to the season. I think he's still got a few things in his game to iron out. So you think it's not like he's lost value. I don't think we would be looking to sell him for anything less. Whether other clubs are willing to pay more than the 10 million, I think is the other interesting factor. So you go, do we need to sell? Do we need to raise a bit of money for PSR or whatever purposes? And then, like you say, this all goes away. If we get promoted, then who cares? We've got plenty of money. We can sort of hold out for whatever we want for him if we do even sell him. So I would hope that we're not doing anything too major this January. I think, if anything, you look at 2 summers ago when we sold Greaves and Philogene, we did sell them quite early in the window for PSR reasons. So you go, that's probably what we would do if we don't go up. And we go, we do need to raise money. Let's sell Hughes for 12 million or whatever to a Borough or a Coventry if they go up, and you manage it in the summer. I feel like anything that we do in the January window is just going to sabotage any potential promotion push.
Sorry, January. That's what I meant. It's summer here in Australia, so I get confused. But yeah, January. I think that's what I meant. We'll need him, and Pandor. So is he getting a little bit of attention at the moment?
Because it's an interesting one with the Dieng transfer. I think there's a bit of speculation that whether it's almost as a contingency, so that if Panda does go late in the window, we're not sort of left scrambling to find a keeper. I kind of like it as, if we can afford it and if it sort of works out, you go, we have Dieng as a backup keeper. If Panda gets injured or is out of form or whatever it might be, we've got another capable keeper who could step up. Whereas with Phillips, it doesn't feel like he's really quite good enough for that. It also then, it means if we get to the end of January and we go, look, you know what, we've seen enough from Dieng in training. Maybe he's actually doing better than Panda. Someone's willing to offer sort of 4 or 5 million for Panda. You go, maybe we sort of take that. Then we don't even have any pressure to sell Hughes in the summer.
Yeah. No, you're right. And so with Palmer and Akintola, do they have any news around them?
It's interesting. I mean, everyone sort of assumed when Palmer went out with that convenient knee injury that was meant to keep him out until January, everyone went, okay, that's sort of keeping him out till the window opens. But, he's come on the last couple of games and looked reasonable. I haven't actually seen too much in terms of links for him, in terms of clubs being interested. So that will be interesting. And Akintola, I mean, I'm thinking back to January 2 years ago when we put Luculo out on loan to Portugal or somewhere. I think he went to some quite random club, and I just think maybe we'll sort of work our magic and get a loan move for Akintola to some second division Cyprian club or something like that. I don't know, some random place just to free up the squad spot, get some of the wages off the books and do something like that.
Yeah, that would be ideal.
But and Williams, I guess, is the other one. He's out with a calf injury at the moment, but I think I saw that Port Vale were interested in him, bottom of League One. But I guess as a club in their position, they're sort of going, look, it's a free hit with a player who's a pretty good, good stock. Yeah. He's just kind of not been at it for a little while. I guess they're sort of taking a gamble on that if that's what ends up happening. But again, that's one where you go, the squad spot's probably more valuable. So you go, you cut your losses with him, you free up the squad spot. It means that you could have a free hit at, I don't know, some cheap loan signing or free agent that we could potentially find. So, we're already on the 6th of January, so we've only got sort of 3 or 4 weeks left of the window. So we'll see if things start happening.
That's it.
But we will round things off. We'll talk Blackburn. So we've got Blackburn in the FA Cup this weekend. I, for years, have sort of clung on to the magic of the Cup and sort of imagined a fantastic Cup run for City. But the number of third-round exits that we've had over the years have really ground that optimism out of me. I guess the intriguing element to this now is the fact that we play Blackburn on the weekend and then we don't have another game until Southampton the weekend after. So you actually start to think with the Watford game having been postponed, you go, say we don't play McBurney, Miller, Slater, Crooks, all those guys in this game. All of a sudden, it's sort of 2.5 weeks since they last played a competitive game before the Southampton game. We go, is it actually always in their best interest to play a bit of this game rather than rest them for this one? It's you don't want the injuries, so it's a really sort of interesting one for how Jurkovic will handle it.
Yeah, and I wonder what. Yeah, exactly that. I wonder what the squad will look like for this Blackburn game, and I don't know. It's just like you said, third round every time. Yeah, I'd like to see us do better in the cups and whatnot. We've just had some horrid form or just bad luck over the last few years, and I'm excited for this one. What day is it? Is it?
I think it's that's the other thing. I think it's the Sunday night. So I was just like, it's the worst possible timing. Like, I don't think I'm going to be getting up for that one the day before I go back to work. I think it's like 1 a.m. or something on the Sunday.
Yeah.
I think I've kind of lost track of which service it's on over here. I think it's on Paramount Plus, and I think they have all the replays, so I might be able to just watch the replay in the morning. But I'm fully expecting like a dour sort of 1-0 or 2-1 defeat in this one, I think, and
might be slow.
Move on. Yeah. It sounds as if Matty Jacob will be starting in this one for us. So left back, recalled from Reading, had an injury. He's over that now. I think it's always a funny one because I think people have sort of written him off. He was poor out on loan for Reading from all accounts, but Jurkovic weaves his magic. He got Giles going. He's got a few players going. Jacob has played at this level for us before and looks pretty reasonable. So it's not as if he's some, loanee that we've had out at a non-league club doing absolutely nothing that we're just sort of throwing in. Like, he's reasonable enough pedigree that I think that as a backup to Giles, I don't think, it's a terrible option there.
Yeah, I think he should probably sit around the squad a bit more. I remember seeing flashes of him doing really well when we had a few injuries, and I guess we're just sorting out I can't remember if it was coming in on left back as well back a season or two ago. But I really like Matty Jacob. I think he came through the juniors for City, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. Keeping it within the family would be nice too. But yeah, I'm really excited to see him get out, and hopefully he can sort of put on a bit of a show. And like you said, Serge. I'm just gonna call him Serge. I'm still getting used to. He's been amazing at just sort of getting the best out of people in the last over the last season, and I'm really excited to see what he does. If he sticks around and God forbid he leaves us, and I really hope he doesn't or he gets fired. Touch wood, but I really hope he sticks with us because I want to see what other players he can probably sort of open up. Going into summer and obviously next season or whatnot. Really keen for Matty for this one.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting. It's a good opportunity for some of the like Destan and stuff as well to maybe get an opportunity. I think there's only really upside out of this game in terms of, if Jacob has a great game, then he probably finds himself in the squad for the Southampton game. Similar for Destan if he can do well. So I think we've got enough of those sorts of fringe players, like Indala's who are going to get a start here as well. We've got a few of those fringe players, so I think we'll get a good opportunity. Blackburn sort of struggling down the other end of the table. I was just going to have a look. I think they're sort of only a little bit above the relegation places, so not sure how seriously they will take it. And potentially it means that, dare I say it, I kind of started by saying I'm not going to get carried away with the FA Cup, but, could put ourselves into the second round, or into the fourth round, I should say.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. You'd love to see.
Yeah, I did hear, and it did sort of get my excitement up. You go, if we were to get to the next round, you know, the dream draw would be against Chelsea, and you get Liam Rosenior coming back to the MKM managing Chelsea.
Who knows? He might even go to Man United.
Late swerve, that's right.
Yeah.
So no, that could be an interesting one if we were to be back.
That's worth chatting about, I guess. Liam sort of looking at like a look at for all of these jobs, and I guess his trajectory has just been awesome. You know, obviously since the last two clubs he was with, being very Hull and Derby, sort of feel bad that he got looked over there, but look at him go now.
Yeah, it's a fascinating one. Like, it's almost, I don't know, it's interesting because obviously he went to Strasbourg, and you think that's not necessarily a pathway to Chelsea, even though they're owned by the same owners, but clearly has done well enough there that they're sort of looking at him as someone that they wanted to keep within their structure, has that style of play that clearly they respond to or like to see. I think it's a can of worms that always seems to get opened with City supporters, where it's almost become a political chasm in terms of, either you're pro-Rosenior or anti-Rosenior, and people are just so staunchly in one of those camps that they refuse to sort of budge or to consider anything from either side. So yeah, it's always an interesting one when that gets brought up. But it'll be really interesting to see how he does in the Premier League.
Yeah, and he is going. He is going.
Yeah, I think it's basically been confirmed. I think they're going to announce it tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, true. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So linking up with Delap again. So that will be interesting to see how he uses Delap. It's a good young squad. He's got there's a few players there that probably resonate with the sort of players he had at Hull. So you go, it'll be really interesting to see, because I think they're still sitting in the top four. So I think it's a good opportunity to have a good campaign. Maybe have a run in the cups. Don't think they'll challenge for the title, but you never know. And see where he lands. But yeah, all power to him.
I think he brings a lot, I guess, just in his stature, and I think a lot of the people, even if they didn't like him, they sort of liked didn't like his style of player, but his, the way he handles himself in interviews, or just sort of, I think it brings a lot of trust. And they need a bit of stability, I think.
I think that's it. I think that's the big thing, is that he's such a well-spoken and articulate guy that I think that really carries a lot of weight. Like, I remember when he first came in for us, coming off Shotta, who always had a very difficult to understand in terms of he just seemed very confused with what he was trying to get across from his messages. And it seemed like the players were also very confused by what Shotta was trying to do. Whereas then Rosenior came in really clear, had a very defined style of play, which, like you say, some people didn't like, but at least it was defined. And so that meant that it actually seemed to make it a lot easier to sign players as well, because we kind of knew, we knew what sorts of players we wanted, but it also meant that for the players joining, they knew exactly what was going to be expected of them. And I would suggest that there were more successes than failures with the players that Rosenior signed as a result of that. Yeah,
I'm sort of drawing similarities with Serge and how he's doing at the moment, even though it's different styles of play. You make a good point that he's sort of opening up the club to these different different pathways that we could sort of go down, and that's pretty exciting to think about.
Yeah, and I think like you're saying, for us as well, I think Serge was saying the other day that there's players that we'd sort of approached in the summer to sign who had turned us down, who are now sort of going, maybe Hull wouldn't be so bad to play for. So I think there's a combination there of the fact that we're challenging for promotion, which of course players will always be sort of attracted to. But I would think if I was an attacking player in or out of form at my current club, but I look at Gelhardt, I look at McBurney, I look at all of those guys sort of starting to just rack up goals and assists. Joseph as well, looking racking up goals and assists. You go, geez, this is a club that's actually going to get me firing. It's going to get me in form. It's going to get me noticed. It's going to have me playing really well. Yeah, Giles as well. Yeah, absolutely. So I think, even putting aside the fact we're in a promotion challenge, I think players would be looking at us, and clubs as well who are looking to loan players would be looking at us and saying, okay, if I send a player there, they're going to more likely than not perform really well, and if it's going to add value, it's going to be good for their development. So it's actually a really worthwhile destination for players.
It's a really good turnaround from, I guess, what we potentially were looking at as a really dire season. I wonder, maybe there'll be a post-mortem at the end of the season around just like, I would like to know what sort of other changes the club, like City, has done in, I guess, the management and whatnot, not even just Serge, but like across the board. Because, it's going really well at the moment. And I think, if we've learned anything from Rosinia leaving, we just need some stability. And let's, if it doesn't work out this season, we'll just keep at it. It's only going to go up.
I like to. I can't imagine. We've had such a good season under Serge with no ability to spend money, so to speak. Like, we can't pay fees. Imagine what we could do next summer with a bit of smart spending, not going crazy, but a bit of smart spending in the right areas, and the sort of squad we could put together could be quite exciting for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, to round it off, did you have a score prediction for the Blackburn game?
Let's go 1-1.
1-1.
Okay, we'll have that whole season, and we end up winning. So
that's a good point. Do we have? I've forgotten if they've gotten. I think they've gotten rid of FA Cup replays. I think it would go to penalties if it was a draw.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, look, I'll say a 2-1 loss. I reckon we'll be drawing late on, and Blackburn will scrape a late goal, because it always seems like, I think Doncaster did the same thing last season. I think we were.
Yeah.
Was it? No, that went to penalties, didn't it? Because it was 1-1. I think we rescued a goal late in that one, and then we lost the penalty shootout.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, we'll see how that pans out, and then we've got Southampton to look forward to the next week. So, we've got a bit of a break before that, which will be nice. Hopefully, some rest and recovery in the legs. But thank you for joining me for this one, Dill.
Thank you so much for having me.
No worries at all. And thanks everyone for tuning in. It wasn't quite as action-packed as we thought it might have been with that postponement against Watford, but still had a game to cover at least. So we will be back this time next week to talk Blackburn and look ahead to Southampton, maybe a bit of transfer business by then as well. But otherwise, come on, City.